Hey guys, so what can you get at Aldi's for less than $80, and how many meals can you make for what you can get for $80? I went to Aldi's today and I shopped the outer perimeter for the most part with a couple of staples, and I'm going to show you some very basics from veggies, canned items, snacks, meats, and dairy, and give you several recipes that you can make from those things, or at least recipe and meal ideas. So I started with the vegetables, and let's start there because when you go into most Aldi's, that's like the very front of the store. I didn't buy a lot of vegetables, and let me tell you what I bought and why. I had a cabbage. Now, cabbage is so inexpensive, and so I was really trying to do this like a budget. And with cabbage, I can make coleslaw, I can make cracked slaw, I can make stuffed cabbage rolls, and I can make soup. I can make cabbage noodles. There's several different things that I can make with cabbage. So I got that, and honestly, a head of cabbage. Do we say head of cabbage? A cabbage this size, I can probably get a couple of meals, at least 3 meals out of, depending on what I'm making. I also got some jalapenos. I got those because jalapenos, this is 69 cents, and they're about 1 carb per jalapeno. And these are a great way to add some flavor and minimize the carbohydrate. I also got radishes. Now, radishes, again, are pretty inexpensive. I'll clean these up, cut the tops and bottoms off of them, and I'll show you. I've found a gorgeous roast, a great price, and I can throw this into a crock pot or into my pot on the stove, and I can make a really yummy stew. And these guys, believe it or not, once they've been in that stew, simmering for several hours, the meat's all tender, these get tender, they really do taste like baby potatoes. I even told Jonathan one time, my 13-year-old, who's very picky, and he's looking at me like, Mom fooled me. You can also chop these up, boil them just a small amount, drain the water, fry them up with some bacon, and make radish hash, which makes really yummy accompaniment for breakfast if you add some bacon and some eggs. Zucchini, man, what can you not do with zucchini? You can zoodle it up if you've got a spiralizer. You can slice it horizontally and have zucchini noodles, which is a favorite in our house. And then my family loves it if I just chop it up and maybe use a little onion. I got a bag of onion, and stir fry it in some bacon fat. So bacon fat, get that hot, put your onion in there, get those starting to brown, put your sliced zucchini. We're going to slice them horizontally. We're going to slice them this way into rounds and fry them up. And the secret to that is you don't want to stir it too much, but let it kind of brown. My family likes it when my people like it when it gets really, really dark. But that is like one of our favorite sides. So zucchini is a really nice option. And these 3 zucchini were about $1, $1.19 at our Aldi's. And I got some onion. The onion I love that because it'll keep a long time. It stays in the cabinet. I put it in a dark, cool place. And I usually buy not the sweet onions, but the yellow onions because there are fewer carbs in those. And usually when I cook, I use about a half onion at a time just to make sure I'm not overdoing it in the carbs because they are a root vegetable and that can add up quickly. So those were the 5 vegetables I decided to go with. And then let me show you what meats I got. Now, this kind of goes in 2 categories. I did get the cooked meat. It would have been the cooked bacon, the pre-cooked bacon. It would have been less expensive to have gotten the raw bacon, and that's probably what I should have gotten for doing recipes. But I wanted to show it to you for 2 reasons. You can use this for a really quick breakfast, and you can also use it if you're traveling. If you look at the way it's packaged, I want to see, there are 12 slices in it. My husband says that's a serving, but there are 12 slices. So if you're traveling, it is shelf stable until you open it. And then even after you open it, it probably lasts a day or 2. I've taken this with me on trips before. It's a great option. So I wanted to share that, not just as a quick meat if you don't have a way to cook it, but also as a way to have it if you're traveling or on the go, or don't have refrigeration. So this is I love this, the family size. They include 2 7.5-ounce pouches. I didn't get shorted one. My son got into that this afternoon, but I love that they separate it because once you open it, it can go bad pretty quickly. But I got this because this is awesome for lunches. You can roll it up with some cheese, dip it in some mayonnaise, and have a meal out of that. Even if you threw in some raw radishes or a little bit of jalapeno. That's a really, I think it's a nice lunch. It's a fast lunch that travels to the office. I also got a ham steak. These things are so easy. Literally, you put them in a skillet, you warm one side, flip them to the other side, and they're great. So one night I might make like the ham steaks and then do the zucchini as I described earlier. It's again a really simple meal. And this was $3, and probably, I know it would feed a family of 4. If you were only 2 people eating, it might feed you for 2 nights. If you have any leftovers, you can chop it up and put it with your eggs in the morning for breakfast. Another thing that I purchased was the roast. Now look at this gorgeous chuck roast. Chuck roast, or this is all nice and marbly without a lot of gristle. I'll put this in my crock pot, or I'll put it on the stovetop, and I'll include the recipe for this. I'll put some onion with it, maybe a whole onion, because this is let's see, this roast is just over 3 pounds. So I should get at least 6 servings, a ½ pound per person with a fatty roast. And so I can put a whole onion, and I'll put my entire package of radishes and a couple other seasonings to make a really nice tender roast. I can use it as a roast one night for dinner. I can use the leftovers in an omelet if I want to, or I can use the leftovers to make a really delicious soup with those jalapenos and some dairy that I'm going to show you. I also got sausage. They have breakfast sausage at a really good price. My family likes this. We slice it up and use it for a breakfast sausage. You can also use it in soups and stews. So you've got a lot of options. And then I got bologna. Now, bologna, there's nothing wrong with it. Look at the carbohydrate. This has 2 carbs per serving, and 1 slice is a serving. And in general, if you're looking at meats, and this is another example, if it's a highly processed meat, check the carb count. This is 0 per serving. As long as it's fewer than 2 grams of carbohydrates per serving, it's generally considered safe for people who are diabetic. As always, if you're diabetic, test. But what I can do with bologna is I can fry it up and have it with eggs in the morning. That's like a favorite way to do it. Put them in a skillet, put a slice of cheese on top, and do a couple at a time, and that makes a really yummy lunch, and especially if you want to put jalapenos on it. So I've got bologna. Again, it's a really good price if you're trying to be budget conscious. I also got some dairy, and I got the eggs. Well, eggs aren't dairy technically, but I did get eggs. Eggs at Aldi's are like 69 cents, 89 cents, and for a dozen eggs, it's a great price. If you're eating 2 eggs every morning for breakfast, you've got 6 breakfasts in there. You can make omelets, you can make quiche, you can make all kinds of things. I'll show you a few more things along the way. And last but not least, I got ground beef. Now, I got the 73% lean ground beef, so it's a little fattier than what I would normally get. But the wonderful thing about this, it was $2.49 a pound, and so it's a really great price. And I love that fatty meat. This is quite a bit of meat. This is 5 1/3 pounds, so 5.3 pounds of ground beef. And I can take this and I can use a pound to make crack slaw. I can use a pound to make soup. I can use a pound to make unstuffed cabbage rolls. I can make taco meat. I can use it in very different ways, and I can even take it and freeze it. I can put it in smaller batches and freeze it for other things. I'm also going to have on our list for recipes from these things that you can make meatballs, and I'll show you exactly how we're going to do that. Well, I'll tell you about it. I'll show you. Okay, then on to the dairy case. I got some shredded mozzarella. Now, I like to shred my own mozzarella, but they didn't have that kind, so I got this. We can make a 5-minute lasagna recipe with the ground beef and with this, and I'll show you the other ingredients. But we can do that. We can use this mozzarella with our meatballs. So mozzarella is a really basic staple, and my kids like to take pepperoni and put it in the microwave and sprinkle mozzarella and just let it go in the microwave until it's stringy. And it's like a favorite meal. My daughter will eat that for breakfast. And speaking of kids, I got some string cheese, and that's another great thing that you can use in school lunches. And when I haven't had block mozzarella, I have actually taken mozzarella string cheese and grated it. So it does great. You can do it. It's not ideal. Aldi's has great prices on cheese. These blocks are around $2, maybe a little less than $2. I got pepper jack and I got sharp cheddar. They have other flavors as well, but I got that for various things that we can make. Heavy cream is a great deal at Aldi's, so I was sure to get that. I also got some Port Salut cheese. This cheese is expensive everywhere except Aldi's. It's my son's favorite, so that's just a snack for him. Got cream cheese, again, a really great price at Aldi's. And I got some butter, because butter makes it better. We'll use butter in nearly everything. So that's all the dairy and meat. Let me show you the canned items or the staples I got. I got some mayonnaise. Now Duke's is the mayonnaise that doesn't have sugar. It does have canola oil, so if you're sensitive to that, you wouldn't want to use it. But Duke's is a really good option because it doesn't have sugar. If you're buying mayonnaise, always check the label. I got some garlic. I was trying to shop with my little budget of things that maybe if I was just starting with keto, things I would want. And garlic, if you're not a fan, you don't have to get it, but it goes in a lot of the things that I make. These 25-cent cans of tomato sauce are wonderful. I usually buy them like 12 at a time, but I can use them to make my own marinara, to make the 5-minute lasagna. There's so many things I can do with the tomato sauce. If you've got the pepperoni and cheese that you put in the microwave, you can dip them in tomato sauce. I've done that before. And then I got chipotle chilies. Again, this is a way to add flavor and have a little variety. So let's say that I wanted to take leftover roast and make an omelet. I could chop up some chipotles with that, sprinkle some cheddar cheese over top, and I've got really fancy omelet that really isn't that fancy at all. Okay, soy sauce is another thing. If we're making crack slaw, we want to have some soy sauce. They have several brands of marinara. This was the cheapest. It really honestly wasn't the best carb count. There are 10 carbs in a half cup, so I'd have to be super careful with that. They do have other brands that are specialty. They're more expensive, but they are lower carbs, so you have to trade off your budget. Is this where I can spend maybe an extra $1 on the lower carb, or do I need to go with this and just maybe you can thin it with a bit of bone broth or a bit of bouillon or something like that, but that was the best that they had where I was today. So these are all our staples, and these are the things we're going to use to make no fewer than 15 recipes, and I can't wait to show you that. I've even got desserts figured in to those recipes, not many, but just a few to make living low carb easier. And I have a few snacks. Now the last thing was I found some mixed nuts. I got some bacon bits. Now why do I have bacon bits in the snack? Because you can travel with these. When you're buying them, make sure you get real bacon. You just want crumbled bacon. You don't want the fake stuff. And they do have that at Aldi's. I also got some sunflower seeds. These are roasted and salted. The carbs aren't bad at them at all. The carbohydrate is 6, and this is something, if there are nut allergies, that your kids can take in their lunches. But the protein in that is pretty good compared to other nuts. So this is something that my son especially likes. And then roasted almonds. And what I like about this, it is more expensive to buy them in the pack than the larger, and the little travel size than the larger. But I love it because it's portioned out for me, and there's a little bit of portion control already built in. And the last thing I picked up was some dark chocolate, because a small square of 85% dark chocolate is generally acceptable. There are 9 carbs and 5 servings. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. This says serving size is 1 bar and 25 grams. I don't think that's true. The bars that come like that, sorry. And that's 9 grams. So you could have half of one, a small square, as a little treat if you wanted on occasion, if your sweet tooth was slipping away. But we're going to use these ingredients, and we're going to come up with main dishes, some breakfast, some side dishes, some treats, and some snacks. And I think you guys are going to be really impressed with what we can do with our $79. Thanks for joining me. Use the links below to find out exactly what we can make with our $79 Aldi's haul.